Hey guys, Tom itself here. In a recent interview with Destructoid, Daniel Schwartz, VP of Production at Activision, announced that Call of Duty Ghosts would not have theater mode, or in-game streaming. So let's talk about that. As a video maker who likes using theater mode, I am somewhat disappointed with this. While I don't think I can change anything about a game coming out in 2 or 3 months, I still feel like I need to make the case for theater mode so that Treyarch doesn't pull it out of their next game, Black Ops 3 or whatever they decide to make. So we know Infinity Ward and Treyarch are kind of on their own Call of Duty lines. Sometimes things line up, sometimes they don't, and they're each kind of working on their own separate version of the game at this point. At this point, I can really only come up with 2 reasons why they're doing this. The first, biggest, and most important one is that not a lot of people use theater mode. I'm guessing especially in Modern Warfare 3 because that was the last Infinity Ward Call of Duty title. But if it's a feature not a lot of people use and you can put those resources to use somewhere else and a feature more people are going to use, it might be better time spent. The reason number 1. Reason number 2 is concern about lag. And just given the system, I guess the host sends all the data back to the Call of Duty servers, and that's one way of handling it, and apparently they're kind of worried about adding a little bit more bandwidth requirement to the host. I guess it could cause some, maybe. It doesn't seem significant, and if it really is that big a deal, they could probably redesign it so that maybe you could piece things back together on your version, the version you saw when you were playing, much like Halo did. Because back in Halo, both myself and my friends would go back into theater mode all the time to look at stuff, and it doesn't happen nearly as often in Call of Duty, so I guess that would be a good place to start. Why aren't my group of friends and myself going back in to see what happened with theater mode more often? So I did some brainstorming, and here's the list I came up with. First, in public matches in Call of Duty, it just does not seem to be as much point in going back to review strategies, plays, and how things unfolded. Maybe that's just something to do with how fast Call of Duty is, how crazy it can get, but very rarely do I actually go back and try and figure out how things happened to try and understand what's going on. I'm not sure how things are used on the pro side of things, but at least on the pub side, it's just generally people don't really care. It's not a reason to go back and use theater mode most of the time. My second reason is a bit of a cinematic one. I mean, you don't need a capture card to cut a short video together. It's just a single clip and share it with your friends. Anybody can do that. It's easy. It can be kind of fun, but Call of Duty just doesn't have as many oh my god moments where things just come together in incredible ways, like you get with Halo or Battlefield. Vehicles and physics, just huge explosions and masses of metal. It just doesn't happen in Call of Duty. Instead, you just get more constant action. Everybody is always moving at 100% speed, super fast killing. It plays great. I love it. But from a cinematic standpoint, it's really harder to build up some of that tension. The third item on my list is also a cinematic one. You may notice that sometimes I like to use screenshots from in-game in theater mode for parts of my thumbnails, and those are actually surprisingly difficult to get something that looks interesting. And that's because it's usually a whole lot harder than a lot of other games to tell what's going on in just a screenshot or a short clip of a Call of Duty game. Okay, maybe again it's not just telling what's going on, but it's showing that something awesome is going on. Halo has all those crazy guns and plasma effects, and you don't get that in Call of Duty. You get an explosion, which is a couple frames of poof light, and there's some smoke, and it obscures everything. And that's all you get. Now, part of this is the player models. You're trying to tell what the guy is doing. It's not always very accurately conveyed, and even then you've got standing, crouching, prone, and then from the hip and then shouldered, and then you get a little bit of muzzle flash with the gun. Then that's about it. Maybe you'll get something cool if you throw some equipment, but that's about it. And otherwise, you got your soldier standing there doing whatever. And if you happen to add a little bit of lag into that, suddenly the character model being a little bit off, well, now it's really off, and things just do not look right. And finally, how many times do you actually get a whole bunch of people near each other? I mean, you look at the DLC or the screenshots from any preview, and it's like, how did they get that many people in the same place in that one map? It seems impossible. Some of those screenshots just make me laugh because of how improbable the events they portray actually happening are. And next, if we want to talk specifically about less theater usage in Modern Warfare 3, especially compared to Black Ops theater modes, the MW3 theater mode offered fewer features. The only person you could watch from first person was the person whose version of the recording you were watching, and Modern Warfare 3 had no dolly cam, which is amazing. I love this thinking dolly cam. It's fantastic, and not having that really hurts it. It makes it less interesting for making short clips, montages, or whatever have you. It's really fun to use once you're good with it. And so, as a result of not having either of those things, a lot of the times you find yourself in the theater mode using third person. Now, this is gameplay in third person. It starts back a ways from the character, and then when you shoulder the gun, it pulls you forward, and you're looking over the shoulder with the camera. It never really got popular, but it's not bad. It's kind of nice, and it can be a fun diversion for a couple games. Now, let's go, and this is live. Now, let me show you what theater mode actually looks like, because it's not the same. Alright, you got the normal follow, but when you snap on to the third-person theater mode view, you're looking right at center mass, and you're right up next to the character. And it's great if you want to follow him around and watch him shoot his gun, but if you actually want to try and tell what's going on in the game while following someone in third person, it doesn't really work. It's annoying, and a lot of the times you just mostly end up looking at their ass. Yeah, they might as well have called it ass follow camera mode, because it's really hard to do something useful with that setting. I don't like it. Black Ops 2 doesn't do it. Instead, in Black Ops 1 and 2, the third-person follow cam for theater mode is much more like the third-person gameplay view in the Modern Warfare games, in that it sits back a little bit further, a little bit higher, and you can actually see what's going on around the characters, see what they're reacting to, and this might actually be useful, except you also have the option of first-person, and so you don't really tend to see this as much in Black Ops. I mean, for most things, it really doesn't work well. One thing it seemed to actually work out fairly well for was the Team Juggernaut videos, because part of the idea was, hey, look at the Juggernauts, and so the fact that the Juggernaut takes up a huge chunk of the screen, even though as I'm recording this, I'm having to try really hard not to either whip the camera around too fast or but still keep sight in either the side, just over the Juggernaut's shoulder, what's going on. Recording this was a nightmare. Cutting it was a pain, but I'm really glad this turned out so well. And maybe that being super close up on the character helped in this one case, but for most of what I want to do, this kind of view is not preferable. This video still makes me laugh. Next, as you may recall, one of the reasons Treyarch decided to add theater mode into Black Ops 1 was to catch boosters using those fancy new tack inserts and everything. And I think they did a fairly decent job of actually dealing with boosters and resetting them. I had fewer issues with them. But in Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2, I've run into far more boosters. And so I blame this on the enforcement team being less aggressive. And it doesn't seem to matter that I have the video proof. I mean, I can post an unlisted clip to YouTube and try and link it, try to get it to somebody, and they don't care. They just care about their in-game reporting. And I don't know how much the enforcement team uses theater mode to go back and try and figure out what was going on, but it doesn't seem like it's being used for that purpose, because, honestly, the people I've reported, they clearly haven't been punished. And so, yeah, it's not being used for that, so people aren't even bothering to report people and link in relevant theater stuff. So they're not using it for one of the reasons they originally decided to put it in the game. I think one of the reasons a lot of people are going to cite for not using the Modern Warfare 3 theater mode is they forgot where it was. This is me, coming back, well, not quite a year later, and I'm like, oh wait, where did they put that? Oh yeah, it's back here, and I got to go to Vault and then theater. Yeah, there. Just not remembering where that was. Once you get to this list, this is actually fairly decent, and it's actually significantly better than Treyarch's offering in terms of finding what game you want. Treyarch, you need to fix this. Let's look at it. This is kind of slow. Each one of these takes several seconds to load the score and the KD, and then what you actually see, the timestamp on the game, is really hard to read. Also, the ordering system is inconsistent. That's one of my biggest gripes about the UI in this game, is left-right does not have a consistent forward-backwards in timestamp mentality, especially with that post-game. There's a little KD graph. I can never remember which way is the most recent game. So yeah, this is slow, and it's hard to tell what you want, and if you have to step back several games, it takes a while just to page over to get to the game you want. That's annoying and slow. I would really appreciate the feature to be able to save or bookmark a game from Elite, because that would save me a lot of time. It would be a lot easier to review what happened. Anyway, moving on. Finally, especially with Black Ops 2, at launch, theater mode troubles seem to turn a lot of people off of it. If it doesn't work very well, they'll just stop using it. And especially early on, it didn't work. There were long load times, and if you tried to fast forward through a game, you'd get a couple seconds in, and it'd have to buffer. Anyway, they just did not have the ability to make it fast and smooth, and it probably turned a lot of people off of using it. Alright, those are my reasons why I think people haven't been using theater mode as much. But let's talk about making videos. By this point, you've seen a lot of the clips, and I've probably convinced you by this point, I hope, that there are some really fun, creative, and unique things you can do with theater mode. The thing is that it takes time, effort, creativity, planning, and probably some more time. There are so many options that it gets a little ridiculous. Sometimes some restrictions are actually useful for creativity, and with theater mode you get so many options. It's possible to spend so much time doing stuff. It gets a little crazy, it's intimidating, and if you don't have a good vision, it's hard to really feel like you're justified in spending a ton of time going back, reviewing footage, cutting things, setting up dolly tracks, then splicing things all back together in the editing. It's a ton of work. It really does take a lot of time, but the results can be absolutely fantastic, and I think that's the reason to keep theater mode around. The kinds of videos that theater mode either just makes possible or greatly improves are going to be some of the best fan-created videos out there. And it's going to be some of the best marketing for Call of Duty. Frankly, that's the reason I'm going to put out there. And why does Call of Duty need marketing? Well, it's the same reason Coke and Pepsi market. It's not that you don't know about them, it's that they want to reinforce what they are and keep selling you that idea. And for Call of Duty, I don't know. I'm just going to put it out there. That is such a huge benefit to Activision that I think theater mode is worth including on that alone. Here, let me give you an example. Popular YouTuber, KYR Speedy, don't judge me, no, I'm not going to say anything, but 2.4 million views. His most popular video is an RCXD montage on Grind. Kind of goofy, but I'll link you. But his most popular video, and one of the reasons I'm going to say it's so popular is because it makes good, effective use of theater mode. Just one example. Okay, let me finish off with some tech stuff, some reasons why it has to be theater mode. The basic idea behind theater mode has been around for, well, more than a decade. I mean, I've got old RTS game, 2D stuff that was recorded with the basic same mentality of let's record the player inputs and then play them back in the engine. This has been around a long time, but we should know how to do this. I don't know why it's not standard. I guess it's not built into the engines yet, and so it's not. I wish it was. The thing is, videos are just capturing what's going on is no substitute. If you're doing that, it's the poor man's version. You know, you're either desperate, so you absolutely need to go back and get something in first person. I record my stuff live normally just because it's not just unreliable, there's the lag issues and it's just faster. So theater mode is not a substitute for recording live, and recording live is not a substitute for theater mode. The integrated options with the new consoles are also not reason to not include, because it's the same thing as just recording live, except much more limited. Now, they do have the option to stream. Well, let me tell you this. I record right now at about 100 megabits per second. I could upload that. I don't think I could find anybody to save that on a cloud at that kind of speed, but then I just have to download it after I was done. It'd be a mess. So there really is nothing that takes the place of theater mode that has those same advantages. For what, especially when you want to do crazy fun stuff, free camera, dolly cam. Dolly cam is amazing. Anyway, I'm gonna finish there. Thanks for sticking around, guys. I hope you thought this was interesting. I hope something gets through to Activision and Treyarch manages to keep it the theater mode in. Well, I'm guessing we're gonna call it Black Ops 3, but who knows what's gonna happen. They're gonna make another one, at least we know that much, right? Anyway, thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.